When I was little, my grandpa told me a story about something that happened to him and his brother. They lived in Bavaria, in a little town full of shepherds and farmers. Not much to speak of there, but it seemed that every year, around wintertime, they would go into a frenzy. Seamstresses would sew any clothing that needed to be mended from throughout the year. Children would be extra special good and do every chore that was asked of them. Even those who were cold-hearted throughout the year seemed to warm up in the wintertime, becoming more kind to their neighbors. It felt like real holiday spirit. But it was more than that, as my grandpa's family discovered. You see, everyone in town was filled with the joy of the holiday season. Everyone, that is, aside from my grandfather's brother. He wasn't the best child throughout the year, and was no different during this season. Nothing bad ever happened to him, and he always had a good winter season regardless of how he acted, so he didn't bother with the niceties of being a good kid. Instead, he neglected his chores and bullied other children. He was mean to his family and to animals. He was an all-around bad kid. His father told him the reason for being kind, especially around the holiday season, was because of Frau Perchta. Frau Perchta was said to visit the season to reward those that have been good with a silver coin, and those that were bad were disemboweled and their insides replaced with straw and stone. She would leave a coin somewhere people would be lucky to find it, or she would rip out your insides and turn you into a human scarecrow. Hardly a balanced system, but everyone figured it was just best to be kind to each other so that they don't anger Frau Perchta. My great-uncle, though, didn't believe any of that. My grandpa didn't either, but at least he figured it was better to be safe than sorry. One night, my grandpa had a dream of a beautiful woman with a fair complexion. She had silver hair and she wore simple white robes. She appeared to glow with a white aura, and she hovered above the winter snow as she approached their home. He felt somehow both calm and at peace with her, and terribly frightened of her all at the same time, because not only was she the most beautiful thing he had ever seen, but he could also see a twisted side of her. At times, she would change, if only for a moment, to a woman wearing torn, gray rags. She would have a long, hooked nose that had become discolored with gray, almost as though frostbite had settled into her flesh. Her skin was covered with boils, and her hair was ragged, sticking out from beneath her hood. But then she would quickly return to her original shape of beauty once more. When my father awoke, he knew exactly of whom he had dreamt, and also what that meant. He heard a blood-curdling scream from his brother's room, where he ran to find his mother collapsed onto the floor from shock, and his father standing there in complete disbelief, not knowing what to do. His brother's walls and floor were covered in blood, and his brother's body lay upon his bed, completely lifeless, cold eyes staring at the doorway, mouth hanging agape, with blood trickling from the corners of his lips. His stomach flayed open to reveal hay and stones stuffed inside of it, stuffing him up like a morbid plush doll. My grandpa turned his head away from the terrible sight to find a single silver coin laying at his feet. A coin that he kept with him all this time as a reminder to always be good.